Hello and welcome to this GrACE presentation of how to build your Advent wreath with your family. We use a wreath at Advent for several reasons. The circle shape of the wreath has no beginning and no end, just as God, the Alpha and Omega, has no beginning and no end, and it represents his everlasting presence and love for us. It's made of the evergreen branches because green is a symbol of new beginnings and life, and also the evergreen doesn't die, and that represents God's love for us and his ever presence in our lives, and we celebrate that particularly at Advent. We have 4 candles in our Advent wreath, 3 purple and 1 pink. We light them in sequential order with each week of Advent. The first week is a purple candle, and that represents hope. The second week, also purple, represents peace. Our third week, we light the pink candle, and that represents joy. And the fourth week is also purple again, and that represents love. Some families also have a Christ candle in the center. We don't have one here today. It's typically white and is traditionally lit along with the other 4 candles on Christmas Eve. So how do we go about making this wreath? Let's get into it. You're going to need a few things to make your wreath. First, a wreath. We pre-purchased ours at Michael's. You'll also need crafting clay, anything that is soft and malleable. You'll need ribbon in pink and purple. And you will also need 4 candles. We are using white to wrap with the ribbon, but if you can find pink or purple, go ahead. And the decorations. Of course, you'll need a glue gun to make sure that all those beautiful decorations stay put. To begin, just start pulling apart the branches on your wreath. You really want to make it look as natural as possible and fill it out. It really gives a good base for the decorations to get nestled into your wreath. You can fit more in and they're less likely to go anywhere. And once you've got that all done, just set it aside for now. You'll want to plug in your glue gun, make sure you've got extra glue sticks on hand, and just set that aside to warm up while we work on our candlestick holders. So to make our candle holders, we're going to use our clay. You don't need a lot for this, just tear off a small portion. And you're just going to begin working it in your hands to make it warm and soft and malleable so that you can roll it out and form it. If you need to get a little more clay, don't be afraid to do that. And just keep working it until it reaches the right consistency. Once it's soft enough and you can sort of form it into a disc, then lay it out on your table or your counter and get your rolling pin. And you're just going to roll it out nice and thin into a rectangle, probably around 6 or 7 inches by about 4 or 5 inches. From there, I use a pizza cutter, but you could use a knife or anything else. And you're just going to trim it up, just to make sure that all of those rough edges are trimmed away and you're left with a nice rectangle. And then you'll just make some cuts about 1 inch wide. You're going to take a wine cork. Take your first strip and lay it out on the table and set your wine cork and then begin rolling the wine cork into the clay. Move a little bit slowly and press lightly on the clay with your fingers as you go. Just seal the end once you're finished and you can pop the wine cork right off. You can also use one of your candles if you don't have access to a wine cork. The same process applies, and at the end, just make sure that it's the right shape. Now you'll want your candle holders to sit to dry with the candles because they will shrink as they dry and you don't want them to become too small for your candles at the end. So you'll set those aside and let them harden. Next, you'll take your ribbon. You'll want about a 6-inch length of each color. Remember, you need 3 purple and 1 pink. You're going to begin by tying the ribbon around the candle. Wrap it around as far as you can, and then just tie it in a bow or a knot. You can trim the edges if you'd like to clean it up, and then set it back in its candle holder. Repeat with the rest of the candles. And once you have your 3 purple and 1 pink, set them aside. Now you can begin decorating the wreath. Be sure to use sufficient glue so that your decorations don't fall off, particularly if you intend to store this and use it year after year. Be creative and fill it up as much as you want. I find sometimes that I like to sort of arrange the wreath first and then go back and glue items on. But if you prefer to be a little more spontaneous, go right ahead and glue it on as you go. There, you see I changed it up a little bit, and I go back and glue it on at the end. Now that you're done, you can set your candles inside. I like to place them around the inside edge and then just sort of attach them with branches. You see that one almost fell, and now we're nice and anchored. Everything's sturdy, and it's good to go. And now you've made your Advent wreath at home. Have a blessed Advent and a very Merry Christmas.